say it would be just about right there.
I started my search at the Hollis Flea Market, a popular weekend destination, also known for an unusual sighting years ago.
He was definitely frightened over this situation.
Alice Predo was the owner back in June of 1977 when a customer staying overnight on this very spot encountered the supernatural.
He just felt the shaking. He said it was violently shaking his truck. He got very frightened. They said they saw a bear-like human animal, or not even a bear-like, just a huge animal. But they swore it was a person, and they described it as Bigfoot.
Yes, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the man in the woods, sometimes called wood devils in the North Country.
He swears it was a Bigfoot, and he was so shaken up he drove straight to the police station and reported it.
Alice says no one else saw or heard what happened. I was skeptical.
Do you have any big hairy guys working around?
I don't think so. No. And then we say, well, did someone play a trick on him, or somebody in a costume? But he vehemently denies any of that.
What supposedly happened here put Hollis on the worldwide Bigfoot map.
What kind of interest? What was it like after?
Well, people just said, well, I want to see where Bigfoot was, and where was it, and here it is, and we're like, well, there's not much to see.
Alice's son, John, now runs this market today.
I get questions about it probably a dozen times a season, even though it was 35 years ago.
Questions like, what really happened under these pine trees in 1977?
People are fascinated by it, and I'll let everybody make up their own mind as to the... He swears by it, but I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know.
For Hollis, my search went to Derry. Just up the road from the Frost Farm is the former home of Alfred Horn. It was December of 1956 when he saw a little creature emerge from the trees.
The creature stood about 2 foot tall. He was green. He had little short legs with no toes and little stubby hands. His skin was kind of like that of an elephant, kind of hanging over.
Rick Holmes is the town historian. He brought along the closest representation he could find to what is known around here as the Derry Fairy. But who would believe such a story?
Mr. Horn realized that if he went back to Derry and told people about this critter, nobody was going to believe him. They would think he's either drunk or insane or made it up just to get attention. And he tried to grab him, and the thing started to scream, such a loud scream that Alfred Horn let go, and the creature ran away and was never seen again.
But maybe it was seen before. Rick says legend has it there were 2 other sightings of a wood nymph-type creature in Derry. In 1907 and in the 1930s, the creature from the woods known as Shenito.
So, Shenito could be the Derry Fairy.
Shenito could be the Derry Fairy that was here in 1907 and 1935. I don't know.
And no one knows for sure what it was in these woods, or if it's still here. My next stop in the search of mythical creatures took me to the waters of Lake Winnipesaukee, and 2 longtime residents, Dr. Vincent Giuliano and Dr. Hal Lyon. He literally wrote the book on these waters.
This lake is over 150 feet deep in several places. It's the kind of lake that can harbor something huge.
I wanted to ask them about a legendary lake monster known as Winnie, a lake creature some claim to have seen in these waters, like one of Hal's friends.
He only saw it once, and it was so big, he said it had to be a real monster.
In fact, Dr. Giuliano somewhat reluctantly indicated he had seen something unnatural in the water.
If I tell people I've seen this fish, this enormous fish, they're going to think I'm nuts.
I pressed further for a description.
Big, slimy, black, and ominous.
But just as I thought I had a breakthrough, an actual witness to Winnie, a more reasonable explanation presented itself.
Absolutely there are monsters in this lake. First of all, I believe these monsters are huge lake trout.
Dr. Lyon thinks any creature sightings like Winnie were very likely really big versions of these guys, lake trout. They can grow to more than 100 pounds and spend most of their time deep in the lake, so they're rarely seen. Dr. Lyon has been tracking his own monster trout for 7 years.
He's been there for years. He's in the same spot. That's his turf. And he sits there, and I can see him on my fish finder. He fills the entire fish finder.
He agreed to show me where this monster lives in the lake, only if I didn't reveal the location. Apparently my trust was still being earned.
So I want you to blindfold yourself.
We had to wear blindfolds just in case. Once we got to our spot, a fishing line was dropped in the hopes of pulling the creature in.
This is the bottom?
That's the bottom, right there.
Using a fish finder, we tracked the great beast, and then it appeared on the screen.
Here he is, I think. I believe that is him. That is him.
Blips on a fish finder, a huge lake trout perhaps, or Winnie the lake creature, call it what you will. This was as close as I would get to a New Hampshire monster. We didn't pull up the fish Dr. Lyons has been tracking for years. In fact, if he ever does...
Well, you know, it would be wonderful to hook him and let him go.